Hello, everybody. Welcome to Yes Have Some podcast. My name is Craig Goldberg. Joining me, as always, is Jacob Walsh. Jacob, Abby has
Hi.
been fired from the podcast. She's done. She's
Done.
done.
Dude,
She's
she's
out.
done.
It's a two-man show now. No.
Yep.
Abby will return. We promise. We've had scheduling conflicts and changes in all sorts of stuff, but it's all good because we're going to be embarking on some pretty fun stuff coming up. But we got to give you the YHS. The show must go on. Jacob, how are you, man?
Yeah. I'm good. Just hanging out, dude. Having a chill Sunday. It's weird that we're recording on a Sunday, but
It is weird, but I
we
kind
gotta
of
do it.
it's pretty relaxing. I'm relaxed.
Me too. Yeah.
If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, we thank you for being here. If you're listening in the classic audio feed, we also thank you for being here. Yeah, we'll cover some ground today. Talk about the latest goings on in the world of Ghostbusters. There's not really much. It's calm before
nothing.
there's
Yeah.
nothing. There's nothing.
You were talking about wanting to do a Ghostbusters radio live the other day, and I was like, why? What are we gonna talk about? There's nothing to talk about right now.
Yeah, but it's gonna. I
Soon.
think soon, very soon.
Well, I'm hoping we're going to Toy Fair.
Yeah.
In how long? 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 feet.
2 weeks we're going to Toy Fair.
2 feet.
It'd
2
be
weeks.
cool if there's some sort of Ghostbusters toy. I don't know if there's going to be, but maybe we'll get some looks at some stuff. I don't know.
Well,
is it too early?
I don't think it's too early for a licensing show to show some stuff off. I mean, we know that Hasbro will not be there. They're doing PulseCon next week, but so Hasbro won't be there. They're the main Ghostbusters license holder. But there's other companies remember in 2020 there was like that pinball machine company, and then there was
there's lots of companies that have
that have the Ghostbusters license.
Sure.
So we'll be on the hunt for that kind of stuff, and we'll cover it if we see it. That's what we'll do. That's the promise we can make. And then the only other Ghostbusters news was that that Egon Dirt Farmer Ghost of Egon Spengler Funko Pop.
Yeah, okay.
Which is gonna be, I think, at New York Comic Con.
Yep.
And that'll be something that exists if you are into Funko Pops. I mean, hey, you know what? A lot of our listeners are. It's not my personal thing, but if that's listen, Jake,
that's what gets you going.
If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is check your Funko Pop websites, more power to you, because because I don't have to.
Right. Just do it away from us.
Keep it away from us. Listen, we actually had this. This might be a fun discussion topic right this very second. You've been kind of cleaning and purging and selling, and there was a time in my life where I bought a good amount of Funko Pops.
I literally have a lot of Funko Pops on my eBay store right now, and nobody will buy them, and I think nobody will buy them purposefully, so I have to keep them.
They know they're
and
yours.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Somebody buy my dumb Funko Pops.
They're every now and then I'll see a Funko Pop that kind of like the new Chicken McNugget ones, because they don't really look like Funko Pops. Yeah. They're kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I want. It's not even just Funko. I don't love or gravitate towards stylized figures in general. Like I more want a toy or an action figure to have some sort of like actual representation.
I think Funko Pops just feel. Some of them look cool. I agree with that. But they feel so soulless. It's just this like mass marketed, make as many as you can. Like they're all, 90% of them are on the same template.
Right.
It just feels like a cheap fucking, nobody's making Funko Pops out of passion. You know what I mean? And it's just weird, and it takes it. And listen, I'm not saying that like the original Star Wars toys were made out of passion either, but they just feel so fucking corporate and like buy these like and the new ones that the new thing that Funko has like with the VHS.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Like just fuck. I'm so tired of like
I love this.
Here's a thing you love, like put it in a VHS clamshell and you'll buy it. No, fuck you. Fuck those dumb things. I don't
You know what's annoying? None of these
what?
products that come in VHS clamshells actually have a fucking tape in them. I'd like to watch a VHS.
Sell me a tape. Honest. Sell me a fucking tape. I'll buy it.
You know what's funny? I still think this could happen. Like we went through that whole resurgence of like vinyl records.
Yeah.
And now vinyl is one of the biggest selling, like nobody buys CDs anymore, at least for now, until CDs come back. But so you can buy records, you can go to Target and Walmart and buy like the new Taylor Swift record or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can buy record players. Then we started seeing like Walkmans and cassette, boom boxes. I figured at some point there would be a company that starts selling, like, go to Target and buy a VCR. I still think it could happen.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet because, at Target, I don't know if you can right now, but less than a year ago at Target, you could walk in and buy a cassette player, like a handheld Walkman cassette player. So, it just seems like the next step.
Like, if I was Sony, which I will be eventually, like, I will own Sony Media Pictures and all that.
You will change your name to Sony.
I think it's going to have to be Craig Sony. I think it's going to have to be a company that can also possibly produce there's nobody making, there's limited run small things, but there's nobody mass producing in any kind of meaningful way like VHS tapes.
Yeah.
But like, remember, Sony was like the first company to ever like introduce the VCR. So it would be cool if Sony were to put out, or like partner with Target and put out a VCR or a VCR TV combo, and also like go to the Sony movie library and put out like 20 or 25 limited edition.
Classics.
I would be there day one. Like, I would buy all of it. Would you buy a new VHS with like new artwork of a movie that you already like own on VHS?
Yeah, for sure. I do that anyway. Yeah.
There's that guy.
I bought Gerald's Game on VHS recently.
What? Oh, is it that company that does like the...
It's just like some company from Instagram. Just some person on Instagram who makes bootleg copies of movies that don't have physical... there's no physical media of Gerald's Game at all. You can't get it on Blu-ray.
We have... I have The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi on VHS.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to like... It makes it just better.
You want to have that whole set. Yeah, one of them.
We've had Ghostbusters 2 on a lot lately. I was actually laughing as I finished Ghostbusters 2 on VHS in the bedroom for like the 4th time this week. I was like, I wonder if people knew how many times a week I was watching Ghostbusters 2. Would they be like, oh, that checks out? Or it's like, oh, it's like worse than we even...
It would be that's unhealthy.
I watched it 4 times.
Check yourself into a facility.
Well, there's certain, just like they did in the movie. Well, they didn't check themselves in.
Thank you, doctor.
There are there's certain movies that, not every movie. There's not many movies. There's probably less than 5 in my life that I can literally watch on repeat and never. Like, do you have 5 movies that you could watch on repeat?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Do you think I could guess?
I probably have more than that.
Do you think I could name 5 that you have?
Yeah, I think you could. Try it.
Jaws.
Yeah.
I could watch Jaws on repeat. Like, I could watch Jaws and start it over and be perfectly fine. Ghostbusters.
Sure.
Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
This is easy. I don't know if I know the last 2. The Shining.
The Shining's definitely one of them.
You're leaving out
a
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. I've also done it with like Little Shop of Horrors. Just put it on and just watch it over and over. I go through I think I do the same thing. I think Abby does this too. I will go through moods or phases where I'm like, oh, you know what? Am I going to watch Jaws the Revenge 6 times this week? Maybe I am.
But
Or like The Village. I will put
yeah.
on. I have multiple times in my life put on The Village, watched it, and then been like, oh, I'm just going to put it again. I'm just going to let it play again.
So that's interesting because I was theorizing as we talked about this that maybe it only applies to like nostalgic movies. Like I was trying to think if I have a do I
Well, it's
have
like
a
a comfort. It's like a comfort thing.
yeah, because I don't know if I have a modern movie in the last like 10 years that I could like just even like Ghostbusters Afterlife, like as much as I love it and adore it, like I on purpose try not to watch it more than once every
I watch the
3 or
trailers a lot. I will go back and watch the trailers for Afterlife just all the time.
well, they're great.
I watched one of your favorite movies this morning.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh wait, because you were gonna watch it last night.
Yeah, I started it last night, fell
Okay.
asleep, and I woke up and watched it.
What if we never revealed what we were talking about? That would be really annoying to our
Well,
listeners.
there could be clues. What kind of clues could we give?
I
Your
don't
favorite
think.
actors in it.
Oh, God. See, this is the thing. Like, I think why, like, if you've been listening to YHS for a long time, you might guess this. But I feel like if you're new, you might be
No.
surprised that
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorite movies, probably my favorite non Star Wars Ghostbusters type movie of the last 10 years, is Gone Girl, which
Yeah.
is David Fincher directing Ben Affleck and Carrie Coon's in it and
Yep. She's
Rosamund
great in
Pike.
it.
So what drove you? This is interesting. What drove you to watch what Craig's pick? Like if I was on Seinfeld, it was a Craig
Craig's
pick.
pick.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I saw that movie in the theater and I remember liking it. And I like David Fincher. He does good stuff. And I was probably watching Afterlife and was like, well, what else is Carrie Coon in? And I was like, oh, maybe I'll rewatch Gone Girl, because at the time when I saw Gone Girl, you're not thinking about, like Carrie Coon's great in Gone Girl, but
She
I remember,
disappears into that character though.
yeah, and I remember when Ghostbusters Afterlife came out, and you were like, "Oh, she's in Gone Girl." I was like, "Who? What? She's not the girl in Gone Girl." I was like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about?" So it's like rewatching a movie almost kind of through a different lens,
Yes.
But also, I remember liking it, and I was like, "Oh, that movie was fucked up." I was just in the mood. I don't know. Like I've been rewatching. I don't have internet at my house right now, so I'm kind of like,
because of the ongoing hurricane.
because of the ongoing hurricane 3 weeks ago. And so I'm stuck to like what I can watch on my iPad, like on HBO,
Sure.
my Vudu or whatever. So I've been watching stuff that maybe aren't my favorite movies or things that I don't watch as much. And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch Gone Girl. So I watched it.
What'd you think?
It's pretty good. It's crazy because the beginning of the movie I'm watching, I kind of like, it tricked me. I've seen it before.
Right.
But the movie tricked me because when it starts, I had moments where I'm like, oh, this is bad. I had moments where I'm like, this dialogue is fucking bad. But then I'm like,
Okay.
it's like that on purpose. But then I was like, no, this is on purpose. Like in the beginning of the movie when they're meeting, like
Yes.
all their first meeting is so like,
wait a
corny.
minute. What do you mean? Oh, when they're like when Ben Affleck and her, they like fall in love and all.
Well, they meet, they like when they're kind of telling the story of them meeting for the first time, and they're at a party, and Ben Affleck says all the right things, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, people like this are. I'm just like, this sucks. I was like, these people are bullshit.
Okay, so you're talking about Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike. They meet.
Yeah.
And you're not into that.
Well, those first few scenes of them getting to know each other are so fluffy and bullshit, and it's like the dialogue seems really corny, and I'm like, people don't act like this, people don't meet like this. And at first I'm like, oh, is this movie bad? But then I'm like, no, this is the point of the movie. This is part of the plot, is that
right.
It's like, you've seen this before, chill out, you know what I mean? Like my like bullshit meter is going off, and then I'm like, oh, it's like this for a reason. It's going to and that movie's good because it's like it goes in like 4 different directions. You don't know. They make you think Ben Affleck is a creep, which is like he plays that part pretty well. Like you
Yeah.
think he might have killed her, and there's a lot of crazy twists and turns in that. It's good. It's a good movie.
It's a fun one to only watch like every year or two because you can you forget about some of the beats.
Yeah.
Carrie Coon's great in it. And Rosamund Pike's really great. I really love that movie. I've seen it so many times, and I still sometimes when I'm watching it, like I get lost in it, and then I kind of forget. Like, I'm like, oh, and then it's always crazy to me that at the end, this is the most okay. The fact that I don't want to spoil it.
No,
Maybe
it's
somebody
been out
hasn't
for a
seen it.
while.
Yeah, but listen, hold on. This is YHS. We have people who literally just watch Ghostbusters. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
I could be talking to just me, but I'm just saying it's good. And it's really fuck it, I'll spoil it. Who cares? Spoiler alert. We're about to spoil Gone Girl. They stay together in the end.
Yeah.
But don't you know couples like that who like they're so bad for each other and they just need.
Yeah, for sure. But my thing is, that movie's based on a book,
right?
And
I thought about reading it.
I want to look it up and see if there's like what the difference. I want to see if you get any more because like that's a crazy place to end the story, and it also ends with you. Like when I watched it, I was like, "There's zero doubt in my mind that Ben Affleck's character is going to actually murder her soon." Like that's what it sounds like. Like the dialogue that he has, kind of the voiceover towards the end, is like, "Oh no, this is going to end in murder. Like one of them is going to kill the other one. Like that is what is going to happen to them."
First of all, sometimes Abby gets mad at me because I do this thing where I'll, like her diary that she's kind of reading from the whole movie, or like her inner monologue. I'll like be in the kitchen and I'll just be like, there he goes, getting another one of those Coke Zeros. He thinks he's so fucking cool. And she's like, stop doing Gone Girl. I was like, what? It's cool to do that. Stop doing Gone Girl.
I think they definitely, David Fincher definitely used like Ben Affleck to his advantage because I don't think I don't love Ben Affleck. He's fine. I don't think he's the best actor in the world. He's not the worst either. But he does have like, he's perfect in that role because you want to like hate that character for the first, 2/3 of the movie. You really want to be like, look at this fucking piece of shit. Whenever he like smirks and gets it's like, why the fuck are you doing that, you idiot? Like,
my favorite part is when they like both like don't have any money and they're like losing their jobs and he buys a MacBook and a PlayStation. I was like, oh my god, that's me. I would do that. And he's just like playing Call of Duty while their life is falling apart. That movie's awesome. David Fincher, man, what an interesting director.
Have you ever seen Zodiac?
Yeah, I fucking love Zodiac.
Zodiac is fucking terrifying to me. That movie's so good.
It is so good. And like when especially with subject matter that's like pretty well known and there's been other like movies and stuff about it, like that movie goes that one of my secret favorite genres of movies are like investigation, like new, like especially when it's like a news investigation of like a true crime, which is basically what Zodiac is like. And everybody's really good in that movie. Like Mark Ruffalo's really good.
Yeah, it's Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr., Mephisto. What's his name? Mysterio. I forget his name.
Wait, who? I'm trying to think.
The main character in Zodiac.
Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. There's all kinds of good actors.
And Casey Jones is in it.
Casey Jones, like. Wait, Casey Jones is in that?
Yeah, the original Elias Koteas.
Oh, hey, you know who else is in it? Roger Rabbit.
Who does he play? The killer?
He plays a guy you think might be the killer.
Okay, because
there's like 6 people in the movie that you think could be the killer, and Roger Rabbit is one of them.
He's like, guys, I'm always getting framed. This always happens.
It wasn't me.
He's like, let me guess. You think I'm the Zodiac killer? Please. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm going.
Hey,
through
I'm gonna watch
Fin-
Zodiac tonight.
I'm watching Roger Rabbit.
I'm fast forwarding the stabbing scene though.
Wait, you're fast forwarding what?
The stabbing scene in Zodiac is the scare. It's like, to me, is one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
Is that where they're in the field, or no? That's a shooting scene.
Yeah, no, they're at like a park,
Okay,
and
yeah,
it's
that's
just like
fucked up.
broad daylight, ties them up, and then just stabs the fuck out of them.
Hey, also they've never figured out the Zodiac killer. That's crazy.
Yeah,
They have some theories and
some
hunches.
theories out there.
I'm looking at David Fincher's. Can we go through David Fincher's filmography real quick?
Yeah,
And just
okay,
like I think that might be fun.
sure.
His first movie's Alien 3, which
Which
had a
is
lot
fine.
of it had a lot of studio interference, and
Yeah.
I think he has talked about publicly how he's like he hates it and he can't watch it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
So, hey, David, same.
but there's a director's cut I think that's a little bit better, and
Sure. Yeah.
there's some weird decisions in that movie.
Yeah, I mean it's okay.
But Seven, which I watched recently.
Uh-huh.
Where are you on Seven?
Seven's great. It's not one I can watch too often.
Right.
But it's a great movie, yeah.
The Game, not really. I don't think I've ever seen The Game.
I haven't seen that.
Michael Douglas. But then he
Wait, what's that about? Is there like a little log line or something that says what that movie's about?
Yeah, but the poster's just Michael Douglas, but he's a puzzle. But I don't think it's about puzzles.
Puzzle. Is it
He's
it's
not a
about the
puzzle.
Riddler?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Let's see. Mystery thriller. The story of a wealthy investment banker who's given a mysterious birthday gift by his brother. Participation in a game that integrates in strange ways with his everyday life.
Oh, I kind of want to see that though.
Should we watch? Should that be our homework to watch The Game?
We should watch The Game. Yeah.
Follows up that with Fight Club, which
Now, what is Fight Club?
we're not supposed to be talking about this. Here's the thing. If this is where I miss Abby, because right now I'd be fighting with Abby.
Why?
Because she would start acting like Fight Club is stupid and it's only for people who think Heath Ledger's Joker is the greatest thing.
Well,
and I get it. It has a little bit of that.
Well, that's because it has kind of turned into that. It is sort of turned into a joke about the kind of people who really love Fight Club. But it was but it is a good movie. Like it is a good, well-made movie. And the first time I saw it, I had no idea what was happening. Like I was completely shocked about the twist the first time I saw it. It wasn't spoiled for me. But it's also not one I'm trying to like sit around and rewatch. I haven't seen Fight Club in so long.
Right. Objectively a good movie, but it's like if you're one of those people who talks about Fight Club all the time, it's like I'm not going to probably hang out with you very much.
Right.
Okay. Next up was Panic Room, which I know I've seen, but it's been I don't remember. Jodie Foster,
I've seen it once.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Zodiac, which we just talked about, which was great. Benjamin Button. Hey.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He did Benjamin Button?
He did
Why?
Button.
Why did he do that?
Were we talking about this movie recently? It was like a big deal when it came out.
I remember kind of hating it.
I watched it backwards so it would go the right way. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I remember we saw it in theaters, and I remember it was one of those things like, oh, this is like a big, important movie, and then no one's even said the words Benjamin Button until today.
Yeah. Ever in the world.
Literally, there's people listening right now who went, oh, fuck, I forgot about Button.
Mr. Button. So what's after Button?
This is going to be fun. After that, Social Network.
Ugh.
Saw it once, thought it was good. Never going to watch it again. I don't care.
Same. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine, but I really can't stand
Eisenberg.
Jesse. Yeah, I cannot stand. I'm clocked out if he's in a movie. I'm just checked out. And I remember when I saw Social Network, somebody somebody was like, "You got to see this movie. It's so good." And they were like, "Well, it's David Fincher. Why wouldn't you want to see it?" So then I watched it, and I was like, "Dude, I can't believe you like this. Like, this is not.
It's different.
This is
It's got
not
good
great.
cast.
Like, why
Andrew
do
Garfield?
I care about I don't care about the owners of Facebook. Yeah, good
Yeah.
cast other than Eisenberg. Okay, what's after? What's after?
All right. So then, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I never saw.
Me either. I saw the original ones.
Right. And and then Gone Girl.
Okay.
And then Mank, which I never saw that. Is that the one about
Mank is
the director of Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
Never saw that.
Wait. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you see it?
No.
No. And then The Killer, which is not out yet, but it comes out this year.
One? Is that the one that's coming? I think. Does he not have something coming straight like to Netflix? It's going to be a streaming.
Yeah, with Michael Fassbender.
I saw something about that. Yeah, it's going to be a Netflix. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. So that's a pretty great filmography.
Yeah, some stuff in there I don't know.
For the most part.
I have to go back in and check some of those out.
Some Fincher, some Fincher gaps?
To me, it's easily Zodiac is the best movie out of what I've seen. But
I was confused because this entire time I thought Zodiac was directed by Charles Fincher.
Is that why there's so much ribbon cable in it?
That's why the Zodiac killer has like smoke coming out of his ears. I love the Finchers. No. The rap on David Fincher is that he's kind of like in the school, like the Stanley Kubrick school of filmmaking, where it's like, hey, we're going to do 300 takes of this until my ketchup brain says it's good to go. I don't think he's as like. Have you ever watched The Shining and thought about some of the stuff with Shelley Duvall and stuff, and like, does it ever make you uncomfortable thinking about, man, was Kubrick just like nuts?
Yeah. Well, he was.
Okay.
Right? Or he was.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. Enough people say that to where it's like.
But so is Shelley Duvall at this point.
I mean, I'm not one to, bring onions to the onion store, but
what?
I just made that up. It's like a new catchphrase I'm trying to get going.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, I think David Fincher is great. I think he's definitely one of the great like modern. When there's a new David Fincher movie, I get excited. Much like
except for the ones you haven't seen,
except for Panic Room and
except for like half of his filmography.
I'm such a I'm the fake. I'm not a film buff.
Hey, before you did that, I would have told you 100% without a doubt that he's only directed 3 movies.
Yeah, Fincher's 3 for 3.
That's what I said. I would have been like, dude, Fight Club, Zodiac, and Gone Girl, they're all pretty good.
They're all good. But anyways, there was a thing recently. David Fincher was like publicly talking about, and I think this is going to bridge us to another interesting director discussion, which is fine. Fincher was talking about how much he hates Alien 3 and how much he can't look at it. And Christopher Nolan was like, no, fuck that. Alien 3 is great. I think there's a lot of great stuff. I learned a lot from watching that movie and stuff like that. We had another, not that I always like to bring our personal discussions to the podcast, but when it's about like Batman, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
We had another long discussion about Dark Knight Rises, which you told me you also chose to watch for Batman Day.
I rewatched
it on Batman Day.
Yeah, wait, was that Batman Day?
Well, Batman Day was yesterday or Saturday, so some around that.
Well, I watched it a few days ago, and then yesterday I watched Batman Begins.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay,
but I've watched them both in the last week.
Okay, and you told me. Well, I don't want to speak for you.
Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises is awful. No, I think I rewatched it. The reason I rewatched it is because when we were at Dragon Con one night, Dark Knight Rises was on TV and we put it on as we were all kind of winding down. And it was like maybe the last 15 minutes of the movie. And I noticed as we were watching, I had a thought in my head where I was like, is this edited for TV, or is this how badly this fucking movie is just edited? So I was like, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna rewatch this movie. So I rewatched the whole thing, sat one sitting, watched the whole thing, and I think it's really, really badly edited. And I think that's one of the reasons I don't like it. I think the first two are pretty great, but it is so fast paced, and it feels like there are edits in the movie that feels like, and I said this to you because you have experience editing things, and I feel like sometimes when you're editing things and you got to make it under a certain time, it's got to be under that 5 minutes, or it's got to be under a minute. You'll end up editing shots where you'll keep cutting seconds off the beginning and the end until it fits, even if it's at the detriment of that clip. You're like, oh, well, now the clip might start in a weird place, but you wanted the clip in. There are scenes like that in the movie that I'm like, surely that's not what they intended this to look like. And it really feels to me like, he spent a lot of time on those first two films.
Right.
This was going to be the last one. He had a lot to do. He had a lot he wanted to get in there. And it really, really feels to me like he put this movie together. He got it down to however long that movie is, 2.5 hours or whatever. And to me, I bet he just refused to cut anything else out. They need to take 20 minutes out of that movie. But I think he was probably like, hey, this is my movie. This is the third. I'm going to do what I want. This is what it's going to be in here. And I think it's at the detriment of the movie.
Right. And we don't have to go. We've talked about this on YHS a good amount. But sure. I've always said the solution, and I said the same thing with Rise of Skywalker. When you're trying to wrap up a trilogy or a long form story, like usually rushing it is it's like you said, it's at the detriment of the final product. So I always thought Dark Knight Rises could have easily been split into 2 movies, and it would have probably been more compelling and more meaningful. But yeah, I don't know.
I think that's a perfectly fine answer to the question. Like, I think that would have fixed it. The only other thing that I think would have fixed it is to cut a plot out of the movie. And there's not a lot of plots that you could. I think Catwoman could have been cut. Like, if you just cut all of Catwoman, it would have saved the time. It would have streamlined the movie a little bit. She's not really that important to the story, but also she's pretty good in it. So you don't really want to cut. Of course, you don't want to cut a whole character out, especially Catwoman. So yeah, there's also this weird thing where those movies are all pretty serious and they're pretty well acted. You get to the last 20 minutes of this movie and it's super weird. Like, it feels rushed.
There's some questionable
Bane's
stuff,
death is really weird. Bane's turns into a crybaby he's crying in the end. Miranda Tate's, Talia's death is really weird, and it's like, oh, that's the take we went with. It's just got a really weird ending. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's the weakest of the 3 because of that. It's got good stuff in it, and it's got good performances in it, but that shit and the weird, every single death being off camera is weird to me. It's just, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Batman Begins? You hadn't watched that in a while.
Batman Begins is good. I liked it. It feels like it's a completely different director. It is a 100% different style in everything. The acting, the editing. The only thing that I really kind of dislike about it is it's got a couple lines of dialogue that are really corny. It's just got the first time Gordon sees the tumbler, he goes, "Oh, I gotta get me one of those." And I'm like, that's a line of dialogue you guys went with?
Listen, never forget, that one of the main trailers for Batman Begins uses a Nickelback song?
Does it? I don't remember.
Yeah, so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, man, we've really grown a lot as a society. Yeah. Maybe we haven't. I'm trying to think what song it is. Nickelback, Someday. It's the someday, somehow.
That's in Batman Begins?
Yeah, that's like the main trailer.
All right.
it was a long time. It was almost 20
There's
years ago.
there's a couple lines like that though that are like clearly supposed to be funny, and it's like, whoa, what? Batman has a couple, but I really like how the first half of that movie just gets right into like, let's use Ra's al Ghul to train Batman and show why Bruce Wayne is so good. I was like, this is all pretty good stuff. The second half falls apart a little bit, but I was like, this is a perfectly fine movie.
I mean, what you're describing, like, we had this discussion about the Batman too. Like, part of the issue with every superhero movie, it's like you can have 2 hours of a really like well put together, well acted movie with like intricate storytelling and poignant things, and then it's like, by the way, time for some trains and shit to blow up. Like, it's just like,
yeah, the train stuff is weird, and the whole like Batman being like, yeah, I don't kill, but then like that thing where he's like, Ra's al Ghul is like, well, hey, I thought you didn't kill people. And I was like, well, I don't have to save you either. And I'm like, that's killing him. That's killing him, right?
Okay, Bruce.
It's just some weird choices, but I don't know.
Hey, speaking of Batman, there was a really good Tim Burton quote this week. He's been kind of on this crusade.
The one where he talks shit about Disney. Are you talking about where he's like talking shit about Disney?
Not that one.
Okay.
Well, I saw where he was talking shit about Warner Brothers for using Michael Keaton's Batman.
He straight up said something about being a slave to Disney.
Oh boy!
I think talking about the Nick Cage Superman, because he was supposed to make that movie. And he just talks about like how shitty. Yeah, I don't know what quote
he says. Well, he says, "I am in a quiet revolt." Tim Burton breaks silence on Flash using his Batman and Superman. And then he says, so somebody asked him, okay, I'll read this. He said, Burton spent 2 years working on the film. I don't have regrets. I will say this. When you work that long on a project and it doesn't happen, it affects you for the rest of your life. He's talking about Superman there. Because you get passionate about things, and each thing is an unknown journey, and it wasn't there yet. But it's one of those experiences that never leaves you. He goes, they can take what you did, Batman, whatever, and culturally misappropriate it or whatever you want to call it. Even though you're a slave to Disney or Warner Brothers, they can do whatever they want. So in my latter years of life, I'm in a quiet revolt about all of this. But he should say he is also making a new Beetlejuice for Warner Brothers. So I don't think Tim Burton watched The Flash.
No, probably not.
But I know someone who did.
Kind of wish I didn't either.
Do you have any thought? It was about a month ago at this point. I forced Jake.
Well, wait, it was right before DragonCon, right?
Right before DragonCon. It was on HBO Max.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'll say about it. Is it good? No, it's not. Is it the worst DC movie? No, it's not. It is a shame that Ezra Miller turned out to be like maybe the worst human on the planet currently, because there's some talent there. He's got some good stuff, but the movie's bad. The movie's overly bad. If Michael Keaton wasn't in it, Michael Keaton's great in it. Yeah. But if he wasn't in it, I wouldn't want to sit through it. And no. I don't know if you did you watch that video I sent you with the special effects artists breaking down?
No,
movies?
I meant to.
So
damn it.
I don't know the YouTube channel offhand, but I just kind of came across this YouTube channel that it's like they have like a couple rotating panels of special effects artists, and sometimes I've been watching them. Sometimes people like from Weta will be there, people who actually worked on the movie they're talking about, and they will go through a film and they will just rate the good CGI, the bad CGI. And what's crazy is like, it's not just talking shit though. I watched their Flash and they're like going through and they're like, hey, this is what this is. This is how this happened. This is what we call it in the business. This happens because of, sometimes it's a money thing sometimes. And they go through the Flash and they point out things I did not notice when we were watching the movie. And they do the same thing. They do the same thing with some other movies. I watched them do it for Endgame. And they're like,
Okay.
pause it, point this out, and there's like a scene in Endgame where Thanos is wearing the glove,
Yeah.
and the glove pieces of the glove are coming through other pieces when he does this, and it shouldn't. And they were like, oops, stuff like that, like stuff that people don't notice, but they pointed out. One of the things I noticed when we watched The Flash was that there were a lot of scenes where the second Barry was complete CGI.
Yeah.
Wasn't a body double, it was CGI, and they talk about that a lot and maybe why that was a choice. But it was a very interesting video. I think you should go watch it. I've been trying to go through and watch some of their other stuff because it's really informative. It's not just
like
shit
a shit
talking.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I what I think is the trajectory I see for the Flash is that in like 2 years people will forget
Yeah.
that exists, because it's just going to be this movie that came out at a weird time before DC was going to like relaunch, and everyone was talking about how great it was going to be, and then it just kind of came out and did what it did, and it's just going to fade away, and
Yeah.
we're going to forget.
There's nothing really. I mean, the only great thing about it is that we got to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. And then, even so, like, I'm going to spoil it, like, he just dies. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that to me, that trade off isn't worth it. I'd rather never get another Michael Keaton Batman movie than get one, but he has to die in the end. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, he died. Not only do we bring Michael Keaton back and we have to only see him in a Flash movie, this is his legacy. He dies in this. This
Right,
is the
which,
movie in which he dies, and it's like, oh, cool, he dies in the
well,
Flash movie.
more spoilers though. The whole thing about that was that when Ezra Miller, when the Flash comes back to the current time, it was supposed to be Michael Keaton. They were, by the end of the movie,
Right,
it was going to be him, but they changed that, so he just
right,
dies. But I saw that the directors of Batgirl, Bialy Fala and Adel Al Arbi, they came out and said, because that movie got canceled and that had Michael Keaton in it.
yeah,
Not canceled. They filmed it,
just
but they just aren't
yeah,
releasing it. And they were like, they weren't putting down the Flash, but they were like, our version of Michael Keaton's Batman in the movie we made is much more in tune with what you would think. Like, they
yeah.
basically, like, that was almost like a fantasy version of that Batman. Like,
It
ours
is a
is,
weird, yeah. There's weird
yeah,
stuff
ours
going
is
on with them.
grounded and was like in the Gotham City you remember from the Burton movie. So who knows? And that
I
movie's never gonna.
It's never going to be seen. I wish Michael Keaton just got his own. I wish they would just do like, hey, let's just do one more Michael Keaton Batman movie. Do it, make it awesome. Like I think I have faith that Michael Keaton can do it. He's good as Batman in that.
Yeah, he's
Like
good.
he like his acting. He's a I feel I would feel fine about that, but it's just a weird ending for that character. Nobody cares about George Clooney coming back as
Yeah,
Batman,
that was
and it's
weak.
like we're resetting the universe, but then the scene after is the Flash and Aquaman hanging out, and I'm like, this is just all weird.
So the Aquaman trailer came out. I finally watched it. It's awful.
Yeah,
And so Aquaman comes out in a couple months, and there was some reports on Twitter from some pretty reliable sources that people have been walking out of the Aquaman test screenings.
yeah,
A free movie in advance. And people are like, I got better shit to do. I do not have 2 hours to dedicate. I cannot spend another minute watching.
yeah. Looks bad.
What do you like? We've actually talked about DC on film a lot on this podcast. So the Flash didn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
But they did announce Andy Muschietti was going to direct the Batman Brave and the Bold, which objectively, like, I think the opening scene, the Ben Affleck Batman scene in the Flash is pretty good. Like, I think Andy Muschietti could direct a Batman movie. I have no issues
I
with
think
that.
he could too, but as long as they don't do that weird, the CGI in the Flash is bad. Like,
Yeah, it's some weird
and it's
shit.
not, like he came out and said it was purposefully like that in some spots, but I don't buy that. Nobody wants their movie to look bad on purpose. And like the babies look bad. the weird second Flash looks bad.
The
A
babies
lot
look
of it.
like the Ally McBeal, like the dancing baby from 1998.
That's what they
Remember
say
that
in the. That's what they say in the
on
other
the
thing. They were
internet?
like, these are like the dancing baby. These look like the dance. They're not that
Do they say
dissimilar.
that?
Yeah, it's weird how bad the CGI in that movie is. So yeah, I don't know, dude. Like,
Yeah. But
we'll
anyways,
see. We'll see.
but what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen if Aquaman's probably not gonna that's gonna like Blue Beetle bombed hard.
Yeah.
That movie never had a
Well,
chance.
so
Like
will
there's just
this.
no.
I think people will go see it because a lot of people do like Jason Momoa, but not people aren't going to the movies anymore, dude. It's like it's falling apart, and these super. It's like not as many people go to the movies. I'm not saying nobody does, but not as many people go.
People are more picky and
Super
choosy.
superhero movies in general are like in a valley right now. It's all starting to kind of come down, and no, they're not.
Yeah.
You know, less people are going to superhero movies, being like another great one.
I mean, it's been a while. Avengers Endgame is 5 years ago. Okay. So what happens though? Okay, let's assume the actor and writer strike ends soon. They start revving up the engine again, and we know that James Gunn's going to kick off the new DC universe with a new Superman movie. What if that movie, regardless if it's great or not great, what if it doesn't do well?
Mm-hmm.
What happens then? You think they go forward with this
They
10
start over
year?
again.
They keep starting over
They'll
again.
fire him, and he'll go back to Marvel.
God,
Because at that point they'll need somebody to make Fantastic Four and X-Men.
and Guardians 4. I think. Listen, here's my. We'll move on from it. I think James Gunn could potentially make a great Superman movie because he's
Yeah.
really good at making movies. I think that there is public ill will towards DC on film, and they should take about a decade off. That's what I think.
That's what I think too, but they won't do. Like, you know, there's money to be made, or at least they think there's money to be made. So they're not going to take. It's not. Movies are different now. It used to be that way. You know, a sequel wouldn't come out until 5 years later, 10 years later.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, we got to do this. They don't care that there was a Superman on screen this year. You know what I mean? They don't care. They need a new one immediately.
Here's another thing I think I like Warner Brothers. That's a great studio. They've made some great films over the years.
Yeah.
Batman, Lord of the Rings, all sorts of shit. They are prioritizing. They're remaking Harry Potter as a TV series.
Yeah.
Can I just stand outside of the Warner Brothers gates with a sign that says this is a bad idea? This is gonna be so bad. Like, I just know it. Like, even there's no way it's gonna be good. Maybe
why do you say that? What if it is? The TV shows are for HBO?
Yeah, because I don't know if the Harry Potter fandom, which is a huge fandom,
yeah,
I don't know if they. I think that they would accept more. Well, maybe they wouldn't because those other ones didn't do very well. The prequels,
right?
The Wizarding, what were those called? Who cares?
Yeah, I don't.
Who fucking cares? I just think it's like
fantastical creatures,
fantastic beasts.
Them.
Yeah.
There you
go. Yeah. Don't tell me your movie's fantastic in the title. I'll be the judge of that. Mediocre beasts and how to find them. I just think I can't speak for the Harry Potter fandom, but I just feel like,
well,
it wasn't that long ago that those movies ended, and like redoing it. They said they wanted to be more faithful to the book and do a 7-season show.
See,
and
I don't understand why people get annoyed by that, because I've seen a lot of people who are big Harry Potter fans say, no, you can't do that. Why? Like, if something I really loved was like, hey, we're going to do this again, but it's going to be more faithful to the books, and instead of squeezing, one movie into 2 hours, it's going to get an entire season.
That sounds good.
That's a dream come true. That's why I don't understand. Like, the movies still exist. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're erasing. The new Harry Potter is not trying to be better than the old. It's just a different thing. And like, you know what? Maybe you're gonna like the performances of these actors better because they're going to have more time to do more. You know what I mean? I do not get that attitude of like, no, we already got it. Give it to me again. I don't fucking care. Make it better. Give me more. It might be a completely different thing.
I bet that guy who plays Ron Weasley is going to try to still be Ron Weasley. He's like 50. Anyways.
Put me in it. Please, Daddy.
Okay. Also, Warner Brothers. Please, Harry, I could be him still, Harry.
No, maybe I can play Harry this time.
Wouldn't that be something? Hey, what about Lord of the Rings though? We know that Warner Brothers they want to expand. They've already met with Peter Jackson about expanding the Lord of the Rings footprint on film.
Yeah.
They're not going to remake those, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
But
because those are pretty. I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't think the plan is to remake them. I think the plan is to just do more. Like, there's more stuff, and like, who cares? Like, I'll feel the same way I feel about the show. The show had some good stuff in it. There were some things I was like, oh, this is really cool. Overall, it wasn't the best. But I mean, like,
I feel like Ian McKellen has been 75 years old my entire life.
For 75 years.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on where they go. Like, if it's even going to have those characters in it. There's so much Lord of the Rings shit that takes place, you know, way before or way after. Or, I don't know. It could be anything.
I'm going to give everybody a 20-second spoiler warning here. I'm about to do some potential spoiler thing for the Marvel world, so take that as you will. Here we go. The rumors are that Ian McKellen's Magneto is going to have some sort of prominent future in at least the MCU over the next couple of years with Wolverine and possibly more.
Stupid.
It's 2024 almost. How is Ian McKellen still playing Magneto? He was 100 when I saw X-Men. I was in 10th grade or something watching the first X-Men movie, maybe 9th grade. And I was like, whoa, look at Ian McKellen. He's the oldest man in the world, and he's playing Magneto.
I remember when the first X-Men came out thinking, I think he's great as Magneto, but I remember thinking, this Magneto's a little too old.
But it's one of those things Patrick Stewart in the first season of Next Generation was like 25 years old. He looked like he was 80.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. Dude, I do not understand what Marvel's doing. And I know everybody loves Hugh Jackman, but I think Marvel's like, no, people really love the old X-Men. Let's just keep using them. I don't think we do. I don't love that. Like, they're fine. But to me, any of the X-Men movies that have been out, there are a couple roles that I think have been casted pretty perfectly. But overall, I'm like, this is not the definitive X-Men cast. Whatever the new cast is going to be better. I can tell you that. But then they just keep using the same. Like, why? Why is that going to be I don't know. It's so annoying.
Yeah,
it's not the X-Men. Everybody who's getting excited about Marvel having the X-Men, they're not excited because they think Marvel's going to use the old Sony X-Men. We're excited because we want to see X-Men done properly. And Marvel at the time was at a point where they were doing shit properly. And it's like, whoa, if Marvel did the X-Men right now, it would be amazing. But then this is a step back. Using the same characters is a step back.
Well, I think when it's all said and done, like in 50 years, we're going to look at phase 4 and 5 of the MCU and go, what the fuck was happening? Because there's a account that I follow on Twitter. I can't remember what it's called. It's a very reputable, like, scoop account. And they said that Secret Wars, they were like, if Endgame was kind of a closure on the first chapter of the MCU, then Secret Wars is going to be the same thing for the Fox Marvel universe. And I was like,
what does that mean?
Who needs that? Is there people out there?
Gone.
It's done.
Fox Marvel doesn't exist anymore. It's fucking old news.
It's like Wayne's World when she's like, Wayne, if you're not careful, you're going to lose me. He's like, I lost you 6 months ago. Are you mental? We're done. Like, Anyways, having said that, I am excited about Deadpool, and I'm sure it'll be great. But at some point, we'll all have to move on.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I think I'm done with this episode.
All right.
This was fun. We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
This is what a phone call between us is like.
Yeah.
Do you ever get? Sometimes I get off the phone with you and I look down and it's like hour 47 minutes. I was like, I wonder if there was anything else I could have been doing productive in my day than spending 2 hours on the phone.
Because in 2 hours you're just gonna call me back and we're gonna have
another... I forgot one more thing.
Oh, dude.
Hey, dude. Okay, there is one thing in Answer the Call people forget to talk about. Like, totally off topic. Jacob, what do you got going on? What's going on Monster Island these days?
Dude, I don't know. Me and Jay, we just did an episode this past week. We reviewed the Gamera show. Gamera, the big giant turtle, hasn't had a piece of media in a very long time. He's got a show on Netflix right now. Pretty great. It's pretty fun stuff. And me and Jay talked about it, and we kind of ranked certain aspects of it. You can check that out. It's out there.
Is that an animated show?
It is, yeah.
Cool.
It's like 6 episodes, quick watch.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Check out YHS on Monster Island. And by the way, if you're not a part of the Yes Have Some Patreon, you can sign up at patreon.com/yeshavesome, get complete access to an over 4-year archive of audio bonus episodes. We always have something. We change it up a good amount, but we always have something dropping. We've been doing, Ryan Dole and myself have been doing some Ahsoka recaps. We have Extreme Total. There's stuff on there all the time. Yeah. So check that out, $5 a month, and you get exclusive access to the YHS Discord. Lots of fun. And then, without going into any detail, we've got some pretty cool stuff coming up. So
yeah, I feel like that's one of those things that every podcast says at the end of their episode. Well, we got some cool stuff, but we're not just like full of shit. There is some stuff coming up,
including, well, we're all going to go see that new Exorcist movie, but that's not part of what I'm talking about.
Right.
That's just going to be That's going to be
fun.
You're gonna. What is this? The end of Batman Begins?
Hey, but we are next week going to New York. We're gonna have some like classic YHS New York content. We're going to Toy Fair.
We're going to Toy Fair.
Yeah,
we're gonna see what we see. I have no expectations, but we are going to that.
We're gonna go see the Jaws play. The shark is broken, or the shark is. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Shark is working. Shark's not working. Yeah, we got some fun stuff, but really stay tuned to all of our channels. And if you're new to the YHS world, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. And then we also have Toy Anxiety, which is a separate channel where we do all of our toy and action figure coverage. And we always have a lot going on. We appreciate your support. I guess that's about it. So for Jacob Walsh and for Abigail Gardner, who shall return. By the way, she's fine. She's not really fired.
No, she's at work.
Abby filed for unemployment, and I got the letter. So I have to now give her unemployment from YHS. It's crazy. No, she's at work.
Hey, can I do that?
Working. Sure. There's going to be some delays in your processing, but dude, go for it. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. How do you end a show? You just end it. You just say goodbye.
Are you trying to just make it to where this is at? You're looking at the recording clock, and you're like, well, I can't stop.
Get to 1 hour.
Minutes.
No, but I'm ready to be done. All right, bye everybody.
All right.